Hi guys, Mel here again, and today I'm going to show you how to convert your custom weapon model for Fallout New Vegas, and the same techniques work for Fallout 3 and other Bethesda games as well. So you can pretty much take these techniques and apply them to Skyrim and Oblivion as well, with maybe some minor differences. But anyway, I've got my custom model open already, and it's Red Rogue XII's Tokarev with my custom Compensator model. And the Compensator will be a separate mod in game, so players can buy that and apply them on their gun. And aside from 3ds Max and Photoshop, you'll also need a program called NIF Scope for modifying the NIF files, and a NIF import-export plugin for 3ds Max, DDS plugin for Photoshop for saving the textures, and the Garden of Eden creation kit for actually implementing the custom weapon in game. But let's import the custom, I mean the vanilla 9mm pistol model from New Vegas, and I'll just use these settings. Okay, and as you can see, it's a little small compared to our gun at the moment, so I'll just scale our model down a little and rotate it with the angle snap toggle, preferably to match the vanilla model. Just try to place it as close as possible. Still have to scale it down a bit. Okay, that should be pretty close. Might be a little off, but we can tweak it afterwards, so don't have to match it exactly. Okay, let's make sure it's centered. Yeah, it's pretty centered, all right. Okay, let's hide our model for now and hit H to bring up the select from scene by name, and we can see we have all these different objects, and we'll need to break our own model to match these. And let's see, this is the frame, there's the slide, and it has glowy dots for the sides, but I'm not going to implement any for the Tokarev, so I can just delete those for now. And not sure if it has a separate bullet. Yeah, actually it does, yeah. Okay, now that we've checked those out and deleted the needless parts, let's unhide our model and hide everything but our model. And actually, I'll actually check if the hammer is rotated. Nope, it's not rotated by default, so I won't touch it. Hide this, I mean hide everything but this. Ungroup. The Compensator is already a separate mesh, and if you want to make any mods for your guns, it'll be pretty wise to keep them as separate objects. Will be much easier to manage. just detach these parts. Selecting all the slide bits can be a bit tricky. Actually, I'll have to hide this first so I can hide the hammer first so I can actually reach this part here. Okay, that should do it for the slide. Yep. And I'll temporarily hide the frame so I can access the magazine. And I think the bullet is the last part we need. Okay, now unhide, and oh, actually I want to unhide the frame part inside the frame as well. Okay, and just start picking vanilla parts one by one, starting with the frame. Doesn't really matter which order you're doing it in, but I like to do the big chunks first. Convert it to editable poly, select all and delete, then hit attach to attach the frame, our custom frame, into the vanilla frame part. The reason why I do this is because I want the exact pivot point from the vanilla NIF so that it actually sits nicely in the hand and doesn't appear inside the player's hand or player's arm or anything funky like that. And so you can see the normals got a bit inverted, so I'll just reapply the 3-point quality normals and it looks nice again. I'll collapse that and I'll hide the frame because it's done already. Less confusing that way. And just do the same for the slide as well. Hide that as well. Actually, I think I forgot to detach the hammer, so just go back to the frame and detach that. Easy fix. And practically just repeat this procedure for every part that you have. Actually, yeah, okay. Yeah, and the vanilla NIF appears to have a slide lock here, but ours is way over here, so I'll just leave it as a part of the frame and delete this part completely, because if I assign this part to the frame lock, which should be slide lock, which should be here, well, it's gonna pivot pretty crazily, so better to just leave it out. So delete that. And the naming convention pretty much reveals which are the vanilla parts. They usually have well, this sort of naming compared to ours with the simple underscore before the name. Easier to differentiate between them. Okay, that should pretty much be the max part. We'll still have to get a working pivot for the compensator. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to the frame and attach the compensator to that temporarily, and then element select that and detach it again. And now you can see that its pivot matches the frame nicely. We could also use the align tool for that, but I prefer to do it this way for some reason. But that's pretty much it for the max part. Now we can just go to export and export it as, let's say, Tokarev max.nif, and use these settings. I'm using the Skyrim version of the NIF import export for Max, so it doesn't work completely perfectly, but it works well enough. We'll have to fix one little thing in the NIFs after exporting. But hit export and navigate to the folder, open up the 9mm NIF, and I'll save this as Tokarev.nif. Open up the max exported NIF. Open that up in a separate instance of NIF scope. And before I start copy pasting the mesh data from our exported NIF into the vanilla NIF, I'll have to go to all the NIF tree strips data parts and change the num UV sets from 1 to 4097, and I'll just copy paste that value and copy paste it into every NIF tree strips data chunk. The Max plugin should export this value, but it doesn't, because the guy who made it work with Skyrim broke some values in it. So we'll have to fix this manually to make our normal maps work properly. And just go to spells, batch, and update all tangent spaces after we have copy pasted those values to all the tree strips data chunks. And you won't see any difference without the textures applied, but it works better, and I'll just quickly save it as to make sure those changes stick. And then I'll just start copy pasting the tree strips data, and make sure you right click on the tree strips data, not the entire chunk, just this part, and copy, and not copy branch, just copy, and go into the vanilla NIF, select the corresponding tree strips chunk, and you go to that chunk's tree strips data and block paste over. And as you can see, the texture is obviously messed up since we haven't changed the material settings on this yet. but that doesn't really matter. We can fix it later, or we can fix it now, whichever way we prefer. Just I'll actually have to copy paste the textures first into my data folder and right click texture and choose, and just go to Tokarev and select tokarev.dds, and now I can see it's our custom Tokarev texture. It's a little dark in Nifscope because it has no lighting, but that doesn't really matter. Kind of annoying to work with, but anyways. And what these texture slots are basically for in the shader lighting property is the first slot here is for diffuse. Second slot is for normal map and specular map in the alpha channel. This map is for glow map, hair map or skin map. With weapons you'll usually use it for glow if you have any glowy parts. And this slot is for height maps, aka displacement, aka parallax maps, which are again very rarely used for weapons. This part is used for the environment cube map, which is the default one at the moment, and the last one is the cube map mask, which masks the reflection effect. So I'll just choose the appropriate textures for these. And I'll also change the default cube map from shinybright.e to this one I'd like to use. It's a custom map, one made by Gogil and tweaked by me, ghdesert2.e _e, and change it to that. And I'll also like to change the glossiness value from 80, which is way too much, results in pinpoint sharp lighting, which is not nice. I'll change to 15, and in the shader lighting property, if I want the reflection to work properly, I'll have to have the environment mapping shader flag toggled, which is on this mesh. It's toggled by default, so I don't have to apply it myself, but it's not applied on all vanilla nifs. And there's also the unknown int 2, which you might want to change to 32,769. Kind of hard to explain what it does, but if it's set to 1 instead of this, your weapon will practically have very strong environment mapping and practically glow in the dark, even at night. So might be a side effect, works great on scope lenses and such. You'll have to play with it and tweak the materials to yield results that you like. But let's copy the rest of the chunks over, and actually I think I kinda screwed that. Let's try it again. Okay, that works. And as you can see, it's messed because the texture paths are mesh chunk specific, so we'll have to change it later. We'll just copy paste the values over, but we can do that after we have copy pasted all the mesh chunks over. And I'll remove this part because we won't be using it, so I'll just do block remove branch and I have the hammer pasted, so I'll just paste it over the hammer again. I'll remove the glowy sides as well. They are NM bar 1, and I'll just remove that entire branch again. You could also work entirely in 3ds Max and only change some little values in NIF scope, but I find this method to be a lot easier to work with and to get working NIFs from. So I haven't bothered to learn how to do it entirely in 3ds Max. It's a bit tricky. Okay, I think that's starting to be pretty much it. Okay, I'll maximize this window and just expand all the mesh chunks. To easier access the BS shader texturing property. And I'll just go to the one we already did and paste the texture path and paste it one by one into all the BS shader texture set. And as you can see, it's a little wonky as we haven't applied the normal map yet. So let's copy that next. We'll have to do this one by one, so this can be a little tedious if you have a lot of different meshes, but there's not much you can do about it. And lastly, copy the different cube map. Okay, that's pretty much it for the NIF. We'll also have to change the sites, the sighting node here, the transform value of it, but we'll have to check that in game and adjust it until it matches. It's also really tedious, but something you just have to do with iron sights. Just save this. Actually, before you save, make sure that auto sanitize before save is turned off. Doesn't really matter with custom weapons, but if you're editing default weapons and you have this option on, it will break them. So yeah, don't leave it on. You can always sanitize manually via the spells menu, so having this option on is pretty much pointless at the moment, in my opinion. So just save the Tokarev, and we didn't paste our mod in yet. I'll do that after we have verified that the weapon actually works in game. And I'll just copy the Tokarev NIF into the data folder. and I'll just boot up the New Vegas version of the Garden of Eden creation kit. The one I had open already is made for Fallout 3, so that won't work. And while it's loading, I'll show the textures. Basically, the plain one is just the diffuse map. The M is the reflection mask. I'm just using a copy of the specular map at the moment for that, and the normal map. And notice that the if our NIF is exported correctly with the UV sets changed and the tangent space is refreshed with the spells menu, the green channel of the normal map should be pointing from down to up, which is practically inverted green. Might be a bit tricky if you're not used to working with normal maps. But basically, if you go to the green channel, you'll be able to see that the lighting on these indented parts and well, pretty much everything is coming from bottom to up, whereas this would be regular orientation, not flipped green. Some engines use this, but Bethesda's games prefer green down, so we'll use it flipped. And the alpha channel contains the specular map. Okay, let's open up the New Vegas version of the Garden of Eden creation kit. Okay, file data, and I'll just untick everything. Make sure you only have Fallout nv.esm selected as the master file and nothing else. Hit OK. It'll take a while to load because it's a big file. And a word of warning, I'm really unexperienced with the Garden of Eden creation kit, so I won't go into too much detail. I'll try to keep it as simple as possible. I'm still kind of learning how to actually use it myself, but you should be able to figure it out, and there should be some tutorials floating around on how to use the Garden of Eden creation kit with weapons, especially. Okay, now that we have that loaded, I'll just move these useless ones out and expand this one. And I'll actually already save it. Let's call it Tokarev.esp. And I'll go to weapon, one-hand pistol, and we'll use the default 9mm as the base. Double click on that. Oops. And I'll change the ID to Millennia Tokarev. And hit OK to create a new form, a copy of the 9mm. And hit yes when it prompts if you want to create a new form. Otherwise it'll override the default one, and we don't want that. Okay, and now you can just open up this one and change the properties. Let's give it a little more damage, a little more reliability, make the strength requirement 3 instead of 2. Excuse me. And change the, actually I'm not sure how many rounds this holds, so I'll have to Google it. Yeah. It holds 8 rounds. Actually I'll raise the damage a little more to compensate for that. Raise the critical damage as well. And go to the Art and Sound tab, and I'll remove the first person override entirely, because that's console bullshit, and I don't want separate first and third person textures for this. And change the model. Click Edit and just navigate to your custom NIF, and as you can see, it's nice. I think the cube map is a little buggy at the moment, but we can mess with that later. And change the test. I'll remove the scope entirely and untick that as well. And you can change the reload animations and stuff. I'll just use the default 9mm ones, and I think that's pretty much it. Yeah, actually I'll change the mod info as well. Once it loads, this thing is really slow. Okay, we don't have any mods at the moment, so I'll just empty these. And remove the first person overrides for those as well, just to be clean. Okay, and hit OK again, and now it's saved. I'll hit save here as well, and that's pretty much it. I'll try to cover the mods as well and such, but we'll have to actually try this in game first to verify that it's working. And I'll just load that, and I'll also have to go to New Vegas and use the FNV edit to get the form ID for the weapon, and it's 17000 ADE, and the first 2 digits are determined by your load order, so you'll want to always check with NVEdit what's the precise ID for your weapon. But it's loaded, so let's go in game. Hope this works. I haven't used Hypercam with any games before, so I have no idea if this is working at the moment. But just load your game and wait until it loads. This thing is really slow. Okay, hit the tilt button to get the console open, and hit player.add item space 17000 ADE1, and that gives us a nice Tokarev. I'll say before I use it in case it breaks or something. And yeah, that's working, though it's a little buggy at the moment. If you can see, I'm not sure if, like I said, I'm not sure if it works. For some reason it didn't apply the spells update tangent spaces, but it works pretty well, and looks like the sights are almost spot on as well. Not much we can do aside from a little tweaking. Animates nicely too. Okay, I'll Alt-tab out of the game and open the Tokarev NIF in from the data folder, and simply I'll just quickly check one thing. Okay, I'll hit spells, batch, update all tangent spaces again, and it darkened a little, and just resave it. And we can actually reload this mesh without actually restarting the game. Just load any other weapon and reload it, and as you can see now it works nicely. Works perfectly actually. Really satisfied with this. I'll have to play with the material settings a little. The specular seems a little weak maybe at the moment, but that's a minor issue. It also has a bit of clipping, but that's pretty much inevitable with this engine. The animations in this game are, well, they're pretty lackluster, and even vanilla weapons have clipping issues and such. But as you can see, it works nicely. It has a slight see-through error here in third person. We can fix that by copy-pasting a knee stencil property from a vanilla NIF, but I'm lazy, so I probably won't fix that, because fuck third person. If it looks great in first person, I don't personally care at all. Now for the sights, if we want to lower them a bit, we can just go to the sighting node, transform, edit, and lower it a little. And resave. And again, just force reload the mesh. And okay, now you can see it's pretty spot on. It's not entirely centered, so I'll just move it to the left, I mean right a little. Say 0.05. Hopefully that fixes it. Yep, that's actually, no, that's pretty close. I'll just maybe overshot a little. Let's make it 0.03. Okay, that's pretty much dead on. Alright, I'll just quit the game and make the modded mesh as well. I'll just take the frame strips, entire chunk, and right click, block, and duplicate branch. and I'll just rename it as well. Going to transform edit, and let's call it Compensator. Doesn't really matter what you call it, but I like to be consistent. And I'll just take the max exported NIF and copy the compensator over the duplicated NIT3 strips data, and as you can see that works. And I'll just have to change the texture path because it's different. Using a separate texture might be good practice to keep mods on separate maps, in my opinion. And I'll save it as Tokarev comp to mark that it's the compensate mesh. I'll actually run through the tangent space update as well to make sure it works properly in game. And go back into GECK and go to mod info and mod 1, just navigate to the modded file, and as you can see, it works nicely. And no first person override, and I'll just actually will have to create a mod item first before we can apply that mod. I'll make it increase weapon damage. I'm not entirely sure how these work. I haven't done any mods before, but you can pretty much just find out through trial and error. And actually I'm not sure what would be a good example. Let's say wonder which weapon has a mod that increases damage. Probably this one should have a mod that increases weapon damage, yeah. And it has value 3 and 0, so I'll just copy those. No idea what they do, but they're in a vanilla weapon, so they should work okay. Can always use trial and error to actually find out what they do. And okay, not sure where the weapon mods are actually located. Probably in maybe in leveled items. I'm not sure. Yep, there. Not there. Maybe in static. Nope, not there either. Item mod, yeah. Too obvious. So let's take this one for instance. Or actually, not sure if well, none of these actually have anything fitting really. I'll use this one since it's the one I base the damage off of, and I'll change the ID again to make a copied instance of it. And we could use we could make a separate icon for this if we wished, but I'm too lazy to do that for the purpose of this tutorial. I might do it for the release, we'll see about that. And the model is just a generic mod kit box. I could also use a separate mesh of the compensator for this. It would be less lazy, but again, at least for the purposes of this tutorial, I'll just leave it at that. And I think that's pretty much it. Just hit OK and make sure you again create a new form. And just go back to weapon. And actually, yep, that's go to the mod info tab again and just change the mod 1 item to mod millennia Tokarev comp, or whatever you named it. And that's pretty much it. The weapon or its mod are not added into repair lists or level lists yet. If you want to add it to repair lists, I believe it's miscellaneous form lists, and yeah, let's say repair NV 9mm pistol. And I'll just delete this entry. Actually, I'm actually not sure how one would. Actually, I'll just create new and call it and navigate to that again. And go to the weapon tab again. And basically just drag and drop the weapon into the repair form list and save, and you should be able to just change the repair item list to whatever you named it. And that's pretty much it for the weapon itself. Actually, I'll change its weight to 2.5 pounds to make it a little more balanced. And And if you want to add it to leveled lists, it's a bit trickier. You'll have to go to leveled item and just study the default leveled lists, which are quite a mess, and add it via a script to players. Let's say you want to give it to raiders. You'd first make a copy of the existing weapon form list, again using the 9mm as a base. And again, duplicate an existing entry and just drag and drop your weapon into the form list several times, and I usually just mirror the default ones. And once more for the level 13 one. And just delete the default entries from your custom list. And again, create a new form. And then go to the list with the ammo and I'll just delete this pistol entry from here and just replace it with mine. Okay, that should work with any luck. And again, create a new form, and that's pretty much it. You'll have to, if you want your mod to be play nice with other mods and not break any compatibility, you'll have to add it to the leveled list with a script instead of editing the leveled lists directly, because that will break things. So basically what we're going to do is go to actor data, quest, and create a new quest. And just a sec, I'll have to pull an example for this, because I really can't remember this process too well. Okay, let's call it Lenia Tokarev leveled list quest. Actually, let's give that's the name. path game enabled with 100 priority. And for the script, we'll have to create a new one. Change it to quest. And I already have a working script here written by Naki, whatever, I have no idea how to pronounce his nickname. And basically just you could just use something like this. He's researched which lists to add that with ammo leveled list to, and just adding a count, level and condition. And usually if you do it the way I showed you, it's 1, 1 and 100. But actually, of course, let's call this linear. Okay, and I'll just add it to tier 1 vendors and nothing else because I'm lazy. And I believe I called the mod not sure what I actually called it. Yep, mod millennia comp, and now it's basically this. What this script does, it when you run it for the first time, it adds the Tokarev list with ammo to, well, where the ammo is actually pointless when you add it to merchants. So you would only add cont millennia Tokarev actually in this case, and if you add it to enemies, you'll want to use the with ammo, because if you spawn a raider with the custom weapon and he has no ammo for it, he won't use it. So you kind of need that. But if you add to merchants, I believe you can just use cont millennia Tokarev. And well, let's add it to, let's say, fiends as well, just for the hell of it. With ammo, millennia Tokarev, and I believe that's the proper list. Yep, fiend, actually, yeah, fiend weapon gun NV. They have these weapons at the moment, but now they can also spawn with the Tokarev. And just save that. And that should, I'll copy paste it in case it doesn't. Yes, it's not saving for some reason. Actually, maybe I'll go to miscellaneous script, and yep, maybe I'll create a new script here. Hopefully this will save it. I probably have a small snag somewhere because it's not saving. Wonder what's causing that. No idea. Yep, actually I have to save the quest first to be able to add the script, of course. Yeah, I'm a retard. And now it should hopefully save. Yep. Or does it save? Working with GECK is a bit annoying. Yeah, it's saved alright. Doesn't want to load that for some reason. Maybe I'll reopen the quest. Yep, that should do the trick. With any luck, that should work. And that's pretty much it. Of course, you'll want to use add it to much more leveled lists to make sure it appears on many merchants and enemies as you want. And well, I'm not an expert with this stuff, but I can try answering your questions if you have any. So post them in the video comments or private message me, whatever you prefer. And read up on other GECK weapon creation tutorials if there are any. There should be any with any luck. Thanks for watching. Sorry this video was a bit long. Like I said, I'm not really an expert on this subject.